Cursed at birth. The Queen who died screaming in the mist-shrouded highlands of medieval Scotland. There lived a queen whose very birth was said to herald doom. Her name was Moira MacLeod, and her story remains one of the most chilling tales in Celtic folklore. The year was 1347 when Lady Moira was born during a solar eclipse. As the midwife lifted the newborn into the darkened chamber, she gasped in horror. The child's eyes were completely white, devoid of pupils, yet she seemed to see everything. An ancient crone who served as the castle's seer declared ominously, "This child bears the mark of the Shadow Realm. She will bring great power, but also great suffering to all who love her." Lord Duncan MacLeod dismissed such superstitions, but his wife Lady Elspeth never recovered from the shock of her daughter's appearance. Within a fortnight, she had died under mysterious circumstances, found in her chamber with her hair turned completely white overnight. As Moira grew, strange events plagued the MacLeod castle. Servants reported seeing her speaking to invisible companions in empty corridors. Animals would flee from her presence, yet she showed remarkable intelligence and an uncanny ability to predict future events. When she was 7, she warned the castle of an approaching plague 3 days before the first victim fell ill, saving countless lives. At 16, Moira's appearance had transformed dramatically. Her white eyes had somehow developed normal pupils, revealing striking violet irises that seemed to glow in dim light. Her beauty was otherworldly, with raven black hair that cascaded like silk and skin so pale it seemed translucent. Yet those who looked directly into her eyes claimed they could see swirling shadows, as if gazing into an abyss. King Robert Stuart, captivated by tales of her supernatural beauty and prophetic abilities, demanded her hand in marriage. Despite Lord MacLeod's reluctance, he could not refuse the king. The wedding was set for the winter solstice, a date that filled the castle's seer with dread. The wedding ceremony took place in Edinburgh Castle's Great Hall, but the celebration was marred by ominous signs. As Moira spoke her vows, every candle in the hall flickered simultaneously. When she kissed the king, witnesses swore they saw her reflection in the ceremonial chalice show not her face, but that of a skull crowned with thorns. Queen Moira's reign began prosperously. Her prophetic visions helped Scotland avoid military disasters and diplomatic catastrophes. She predicted harsh winters, allowing the kingdom to stockpile grain. She foresaw enemy attacks, enabling strategic victories. The people called her the Oracle Queen, and for 3 years, Scotland flourished under her guidance. However, the curse's true nature began to reveal itself. Every person who grew close to Queen Moira met a tragic end. Her ladies-in-waiting died one by one under mysterious circumstances. Her personal guards were found dead in their quarters with expressions of absolute terror frozen on their faces. Most disturbing of all, they died in the exact order she had predicted, as if fate itself bent to her dark gift. King Robert, initially enchanted by his prophetic queen, began to fear her. He noticed that she never seemed to age, while he grew older and more haggard with each passing month. Court physicians whispered that the king was being drained of his life force, though they dared not speak such accusations aloud. The breaking point came during the 4th year of their marriage. Queen Moira announced she was with child, but her pregnancy was unlike any other. She showed no signs of carrying a baby, yet claimed she could feel the child moving within her. Court physicians found no evidence of pregnancy, yet the queen insisted the birth would come at the next solar eclipse. As the predicted eclipse approached, Queen Moira's behavior became increasingly erratic. She was found sleepwalking through the castle corridors, speaking in ancient Gaelic tongues that predated written history. She claimed her unborn child was communicating with her, telling her secrets of the Shadow Realm. On the night of the eclipse, as the moon began to obscure the sun, Queen Moira went into labor. But instead of a child's cry, the royal chambers filled with her screaming. Witnesses outside the birthing chamber reported hearing not one voice, but dozens, as if an entire chorus of the damned was crying out in agony. The screaming continued for hours, growing more intense as the eclipse reached totality. The midwives who attended her fled in terror, claiming they saw shadows moving independently of any light source within the chamber. The Queen's screams echoed through every corridor of Edinburgh Castle, a sound so haunting that hardened soldiers wept openly. King Robert, driven by desperation and love, burst into the chamber despite the midwives' warnings. What he found there drove him to madness. Queen Moira lay on the birthing bed, her body contorted in impossible angles, her violet eyes now completely black. Around her, the very air seemed to writhe with dark shapes that fled from the light of his torch. But most horrifying of all, there was no child. Instead, where a newborn should have been, there was only a crown made of what appeared to be crystallized shadows, pulsing with an otherworldly light. As the eclipse reached its peak, Queen Moira's screaming reached a crescendo that shattered every piece of glass in the castle. Then, suddenly silence fell. When the king approached her still form, he found that she had aged decades in moments. Her beautiful raven hair was now stark white, her perfect skin withered and marked with strange symbols that seemed to shift and change when observed directly. Her final words, spoken in a voice that seemed to come from the grave itself, were a prophecy that chilled the blood of all who heard them. The crown of shadows shall pass to the next chosen one, and the cycle shall begin anew. 7 generations hence, another shall be born under the eclipse, and the curse shall claim its due. Queen Moira died as the eclipse ended, her body crumbling to dust within minutes, leaving behind only the mysterious shadow crown. King Robert, driven mad by what he had witnessed, ordered the crown to be sealed away in the castle's deepest vault, where it remains to this day. The curse of Queen Moira became legend, a cautionary tale about the price of supernatural power. For 7 generations, the MacLeod family watched the skies, dreading the next solar eclipse, knowing that somewhere, another child would be born to carry the terrible burden of the Shadow Crown. And in the Highland mists of Scotland, on nights when the moon is dark, travelers still report hearing the echo of a queen's final, tormented screams carried on the wind.